This album's an hour? Okay, well, buckle in. All my streams, unedited, are on my Patreon. So if you want to watch the whole thing without any interruptions, you can go there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this Halsey album. I liked a few of the singles, okay. I just hope her writing is better on this record, because I like the production on the last one. The great impersonator, Halsey. Production's actually kind of interesting. Huh. Fucking Alex G produced this. That's what it was. I was wondering what this was. It's fucking Alex G. Oh my god. Oh, that makes so much sense, bro. Duh, dude. Duh. That was killing me. This is something that I'm going to have to recognize about this album as we continue listening to it. It's just the way that Halsey writes. I've realized this is just the way that Halsey writes, is that she's going to say these really super intense things that almost sound laughable, but we gotta just accept them as they come. You know what I mean? That being said, around those lines, I feel like there is some good stuff here, and overall I really like that song, and I liked what Alex G did with it.
Keep my feet on the ground.
Yeah, I like this one. This is one of the singles I like, yeah. I'm a big fan of this pre-chorus, guys. I really like this pre-chorus. It's so catchy. It's good, man. To me, honestly, and some people are going to fight me for this, if you stuck this in an Avril Lavigne album in the early 2000s, I would just believe that it's an Avril Lavigne song. If you told me this was an Avril Lavigne cover, I'd believe you. Now, I like Avril Lavigne's voice a little bit more than Halsey's. I don't know if I'm ever going to be totally sold on Halsey's voice, but if you told me this was an Avril Lavigne cover, I'd believe you. And that's enough for me, you know? And that means that I like it. I eat that shit up, bro. I love that early Avril Lavigne stuff.
Owner, I'm a loser. Won't you shoot me in the yard? Cause my dog died last year. He fell asleep in my embrace.
Okay, does anyone else feel like the things that she's saying and the way she's delivering them is like there's like a huge disconnect? Like, she's delivering it like, ooh, like bad girl whispery sinister vibes, and then she's like, my dog died, and like it died in my arms. That's my favorite movie. No. Well, they say all dogs go to heaven. Well, what about a bitch? What about an evil girl left dying in a ditch? Oh, Halsey. Ashley, can I call you Ashley? Oh, what if Lil Wayne said it?
196 in dog years, I have seen it.
We're doing dog years out here? The writing was atrocious on that one. Dude, like, I get a concept, I get a theme, but you cannot be this, like, literal on the nose with it. Especially in a song that you're, like, delivering this sexy, sinister attitude, and you're like, oh, God, I'm like 196 in dog years. My dog died last year. Like, you can't, like, these things can't all be happening at the same time. Like, this is just, it's too much. There's too many dog analogies. I've been a really good dog. Can I come inside? Yeah, I've been such a good girl. Can I go for a ride? Like, bro, this is like sexual, but you're also comparing yourself to a dog, but you're like literally talking about your dog that died, but you're comparing yourself to a bad girl as a dog was a bitch. Oh God. Yeah, I can't. That really took the wind out of my sails. I was enjoying the album up to that point. No, the production, I don't think there's been a bad production moment. The production's really good.
Please God, I don't wanna be sick. I don't wanna hurt too many boys. Please God, I don't wanna be loved.
Oh, that's dark.
I wanna be somebody that they wanna get rid of. Please God, I don't wanna be sick. I don't wanna hurt too many.
The aesthetic choice of making that song lo-fi was interesting, but ignoring that, the writing here is like so dark, bro. No, I do think there's hope on this record. I'm not hating.
Easy love or a panic inside.
Yeah, this is Stevie Nicks.
Is it someone taking you home? Is it love or a panic inside? Would you mind if I asked you too much to
I like this chorus. I think this chorus is very sweet.
Someone taking
I thought that was really cute. I thought that was fine. Yeah. It did a good job nailing the Fleetwood Mac vibes. I think that I honestly, so far, I don't know about you guys, but I'm very impressed. I'm impressed by who she added to do the production of this record. I feel like this is like a tall task to do these impersonations, and they're doing a really good job of it so far. Like, for the most part, these songs have been able to really tell.
every couple of years now.
This is a single.
Doctor says I'm sick.
Yeah, this one's sad.
Brand new bag.
This one's Joni Mitchell. That makes sense.
In the water, there's a doctor. What did I
This song is about like it's a cancer diagnosis, right? Isn't that what like a lot of the themes on this record has to do with? It's a heavy one.
believe in sin? I still believe
The
in
vocal
heaven
issues are
if they'll never let me
really apparent
in.
here.
I started too late, like I did with my mother. So now I tell her to her face.
This is the first moment in the record that I like Halsey's writing more than I like the production. The production just feels so stale on this one. Like, I know that they were trying to make a low-key track, but at least, like, change up the guitar part or something. Like, it just feels like it feels so recycled by the end of the song for me. But I like the writing a lot more than a lot of the other tracks. It feels very mature, and it feels very relatable and very potent. The entire concept of, like, knowing that you're going to get old, looking at your son being like, oh wow, like I'm going to age in the same way that my mom did when I was a kid. Her kid's life is going to be better than hers. Like, I feel like these are all very real statements, and I feel like she put it in a very mature way. I just kind of wish there was a little bit more going on production wise. Oh my god. Okay, she shouldn't have done the voice. She shouldn't have done the voice with the Bruce impersonation.
I don't wanna be somebody. Thank you.
All right, yeah, she's sometimes she's taken the impersonations very seriously. Thank you. Alex G's on this one. Oh, is this Dolly? When she's doing the vocal impersonations, like, it's just too much. It's just too much. Okay, guys, listen. We're halfway through the album, right? I think what I feel about this record right now is it feels like there's just too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many ideas going around right now. Like, do you want to write an album, very personal album about your life and these really heavy issues and these lyrics that feel very real at points, like almost like shock, like too real? Or do you want to do an album where you're doing a bunch of impersonations enough to the point where it's like almost a little silly? Like, it's a little like, I think you can do one of those things. You can do one of those things and them working, but I think both of them going on at the same time just feels it's so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know exactly what to think of it, or even to like what angle to take this album at from. Like, are we goofing around, or are we like saying really heavy, serious shit? Like, is this a personal record, or are we just having fun? Also, I'm just trying to connect the reason between the two. Like, why are we doing both at the same time? Like, maybe there's some overarching reason, but I don't know. This is supposed to be Kate Bush. I'm not going to get Kate Bush from this at all. I'm just saying, guys, if chat didn't tell me this was supposed to be Kate Bush, I would not have blocked that. I think you can't have like that stable and constant of a melody and also have an instrumental that like really never develops. And I like that just kind of what happened with that track for me. I thought this was a lot of impersonation for a second. It's David Bowie? Oh, okay. The lyrics are making it feel a little bit more Bowie. Yeah, she said outer space, and I was like, oh, I can see the David Bowie thing now. Oh, Breaking Benjamin, of course. Oh, is this the Evanescence one? I really like this sound. Wait, she's actually doing Evanescence justice here. The sludginess of the production feels really accurate. Also, holy shit, her vocals fit this sound. And I am no defender of Halsey vocals. You know what the concern would normally be, right? Somebody's like, oh, they're directly going for an Evanescence thing. Is being like, good luck with like comparing to Amy Lee. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, I'm doing an Evanescence thing. Oh, you have to like go up against Amy Lee. But I think just because she's like obviously taking the stylistic qualities of Evanescence, but it's not a direct enough impersonation where she's trying to do it vocally. And I'm so glad that she didn't, because Halsey sounds like herself on this. You know what it is that she sounds so much like herself. She sounds so comfortable on this sound that even if this isn't something Halsey's done directly before, it kind of feels like she always has. Wait, this is like trip hop. Is this supposed to be Fiona Apple? Wait, this is just Massive Attack. What? I like it though. She's doing a good job with it, I think. It's good, but it drags on in true trip hop fashion. It does sound like very Massive Attack-y. But you know, again, like I think this might be my favorite writing I've heard in a Halsey album. I've just never been like a huge fan of her writing style. But I think at points in this album she's kind of trying to do impressions of other artists' writing style, and I think that's kind of seems to be pushing her a little bit. But if that's trying to be Fiona Apple, like maybe a little bit like in the writing, I mean, like you're trying to impersonate one of the best songwriters of all time's hard, but that just sounded like a trip hop track to me.
Dangle me high over the drain and tell me I'm lucky you don't, 'cause I'm the spider in your kitchen, weaving webs through every year. I've got 8 legs, a million eyes, if only I had.
Bro, you know what she does? She goes and ruins it with like sticking so hard to these metaphors in these songs. There's aspects of that metaphor that I liked. But then she's like, hey guys, you're gonna have to take me outside and forget about me. And like, it's like, oh my God, we are sticking way too hard to this. It kind of reminds me of, oh God, you guys are gonna hate this. It's something Taylor's been doing on her new records that really irks me. But yeah, I just don't, like, you can't like stick this hard to a metaphor that just doesn't have like legs to it.
The other girls date older guys and wear their tears. Blood is thick, water is forever, and it's deeper than a bone and a feather.
Is this the one where she's doing an impression of herself? Honestly, it's funny that that's supposed to be an impression of Halsey's older stuff, because I like this more than the majority of Halsey's older stuff. I think the production has a lot more going for it here. It's like interesting sounding bedroom pop. Like that's the vibe. And I feel like the chorus is like really solid too. I have never said that Halsey isn't good at writing a catchy, memorable chorus. The question is just, is she going to ruin it with her writing? You know what I mean? Is she going to ruin it with the lyrics? That's always the question. Oh, this is like the fucking Britney Spears cover. Interpolation or whatever you want to call it.
Because I wanted to, and then I did it one more time because I got sick.
I like that line. I think that line is like super potent. I shaved my head 4 times because I wanted to, and then I did it one more time because I got sick. Ooh. There's something to be said there about like doing something out of choice, and then it feels so much heavier because you don't have the choice this time. You know what I mean? I listen, guys, I think with that song, I don't hate it, but I think it's tough when you interpolate that heavily from such a classic. It's really hard to not compare it. That's a tough hill to get over, I think.
Gym floor, he's playing with his toys. And
It's supposed to be Aaliyah?
Leave him, but I don't think it's my choice.
Okay, you're doing an Aaliyah thing, and then you're not having the most like definable characteristics of Aaliyah, which is like a groove. Bjork.
It's a lie.
I can hear the attempt.
I promise that I'm fine. But surely it's in here lies the great impersonator.
Here lies the mid impersonator. Those Bjork vocal inflections, you are not hitting.
Hope they spell my.
Okay, listen, guys. I know I know she isn't trying to do direct impersonations of these artists, but every now and then with a lot of these tracks on this album, she's clearly trying to do a direct thing that artist does vocally or writing wise or whatever. So it's not like these are the loosest impersonations ever. And I think, like, I'm not saying that that's just because the title is that it has to be these like direct impersonations, but if you're going to have an album where every track is inspired by a certain artist, like, you have to, no matter what, people are going to compare what you did to those artists and the way that sounds. They're like, oh wow, especially if you're going to go out and say it, people are of course going to have to comment on like whether that stuck the landing or whether, you know, that sounded even remotely like that artist, or whether she did a good rendition of it or not, right? Like, for example, I love that she drew the inspirations from Evanescence. It didn't feel like she was trying to do an Amy Lee impersonation, but she did her thing on that track with that sound, I think, really well. But I think her fans being like, oh, you can't compare this song to Bjork when she's clearly attempting to do a Bjork impersonation, which, by the way, she probably said to her producers, oh, I want the closer of the album to be a Bjork thing. They were probably like, oh my God, you gave us the most impossible task possible. Like, that is the most impossible person to replicate in any sort of fashion. What I said midway through the album, I think, just kind of ended up being exactly how I feel about it by the end. It's trying to do so many different things, enough to the point where it's a little confusing. And I know that a lot of people are going to say, and I think this is valid, this shouldn't be an album that is criticizable. And I understand where they're coming from, that it is about these really deep issues in Halsey's life with her cancer diagnosis and all of that stuff. And I think that there's a lot of lyrics on this album where she talks about that I think are my favorite parts on the record, because it really is that heavy and that real and that honest. But I think when you're doing these impersonations and you're having these really serious issues, both of those things simultaneously, it just feels like I don't even know what to focus on, or I don't even know what the point of this is. Honestly, I wish that she just picked a direction, and I feel like this is her strongest writing of her career. And I wish that she just kind of didn't do this impersonation thing now and saved that for later. Because I think doing both of those things at the same time, you clearly, I think in Halsey's perspective, this is the most she had to write about in her career. She's going through such a unique thing. And I think that showed with a lot of the songs off of this album. And listen, I don't think her batting average was that bad. Like, not all of these songs are good, but there's enough songs to take away from where I am not like completely disappointed by it. I just don't think it needs to be an hour long. I think that the metaphor stuff that she was doing on here with the dogs and the spiders was just too much. And I think some of these impersonations just did not pan out very well. It's really hard to like do a concept record like this while also trying to make it personal. There's just too much going on. I don't know. I think she kind of shot herself in the foot in that aspect.